Getting where you need to go shouldn't be a struggle. That's why Hillsborough County offers Sunshine Line, a transportation service for residents who need a little extra help. If you have no mode of transportation, you may qualify for Sunshine Line's door-to-door service based on age, disability, or income. For those who live in the Hart service area, you may be eligible for an income-based bus pass program. Sunshine Line's trained drivers provide safe, shared rides, helping you to and from the vehicle and making sure you're secured every step of the way. Scheduling is simple. Just call 813-272-7272 to see if you qualify and start your application process today. Sunshine Line is here to keep you moving safely, affordably, and with a smile. Visit hcfl.gov/sunshineline to learn more and get started today. Sunshine Line, Hillsborough's ride on the bright side.
In Hillsborough County, your tap water is more than just convenient. It's safe, trusted, and affordable. Every drop is monitored 24 hours a day and tested regularly to meet strict state and federal standards, so you can trust what's coming out of your tap. Skip the plastic water bottles and go with tap. That way, you're choosing sustainability and savings. Hillsborough County Water Resources is proud to deliver quality on tap. For helpful tips and for more information, visit hcfl.gov/qualityontap.
Good morning and welcome to the October 7th, 2025 land use meeting of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Gwen Myers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, gracious Heavenly Father, we come again to thank you for this meeting. We thank you for all the constituents who are here to speak on behalf of their project. We thank you for all the applicants who submitted an application, our staff who presented us the agenda, and the board who will deliberate and make the final decisions on all these projects. This I ask in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. Mr. Grady, I want to review any changes to the agenda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Grady, Hillsborough County Development Services. In addition to the withdrawals, continuance, and remands beginning on page 3 of the agenda, we do have 2 changes to the agenda. The first change is on page 10 of the agenda, item F2, RZPD 24-0924, revising page 3 of the staff report to correct a scrivener's error regarding a reference to the subject site's future land use category. The abbreviation of the Res 4 plan category is being changed from Res 12 to Res 4. The second change is on page 13 of the agenda, item F8, rezoning PD 25-0704. Existing condition 2 is being modified to change a pod designation to be consistent with the site plan. So a reference to pod Q is being changed to pod N within that condition. That concludes the changes to the agenda.
Can we motion to approve the changes?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Commissioner Wostel, second, Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote. Changes the agenda.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, this time, can we have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner
Second.
Wostel, second, Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on the consent agenda.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, so at this time, if you're here for a B item, your application's been approved. If you're planning on testifying today, would you please stand, raise your right hand so the clerk can swear you in?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're on the vacating portion of the agenda. Mr. Grady, you want to introduce the first item?
First item is agenda item C1, vacating petition 25-0009. Facilities Management and Real Estate Services will present this item.
Good morning.
Becker, for the record, with Facilities Management and Real Estate Services. Item C1 today is vacate ID V25-0009. This is a petition by Kevin and Yvonne Pingle to vacate a public platted utility easement located at 13546 Lake Magdalene Drive in Greater Carrollwood, Northdale, and consisting of approximately 2,827 square feet. The proposed vacate area was dedicated through the plat of Lake Magdalene Arms Estates, Section 1, as recorded in Plat Book 45, page 40, and is generally located east of Northdale Mabry Highway and west of North Florida Avenue. The petitioners submitted this request to allow for the permitting of a new shed at the rear of their property. Reviewing departments, agencies, and utility providers have no objections to this request. Thank you for your consideration, and I can answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to the item? Now, can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Wostel, second, Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Commissioners, next item is agenda item C2, vacating petition 25-0010. Real Estate Services Department will present this item.
Victoria Rosenbecker with Real Estate Services. Item C2 today is vacate ID V25-0010. This is a petition by Richard Beaudry to vacate a platted public utility easement located at 725 and 727 Sailfish Drive in Brandon and consisting of approximately 2,237 square feet. The proposed vacate area was dedicated through the plat of Brandon Tradewinds Edition as recorded in Plat Book 45, page 86, and is generally located west of South Kings Avenue and south of West Lumsden Road. The petitioners submitted this request to cure an encroachment of the screened enclosure and pool into the easement area. Reviewing departments, agencies, and utility providers have no objections. The utility easement requested to be vacated does overlap a portion of a platted drainage easement on the south boundary of the petitioner's property. However, the drainage easement is not affected by this vacate and will remain in its entirety. So thank you for your consideration, and I can answer any questions.
This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Wostel, second, Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on C2.
Motion carried 7-0.
Mr. Grady?
Next item is agenda item E1, PRS application 25-1213. This is a request for a minor modification to a PD that's located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Sims and Trotwood Road. The request is to modify the PD to increase the building height from 21 to 26 feet. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Michelle Bach with 1784 Holdings. I'm the applicant and the owner.
Michelle, could you please activate your camera?
Yes.
Is there a cover over your camera? There we go.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add?
Sorry, is it working? I do have a PowerPoint, but I don't need to add it unless staff has questions. It is simply going over the request. 1784 is a national self-storage developer, and our request is to add extra 5 feet to our already approved amendment in order to add a live-in manager's caretaker unit to our facility.
Okay, thank you. Adam, I know we have staff recommendation. Any concerns from staff?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right, can we have a motion?
Approval. Second.
Motion Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Wostel. Please record your vote on E1.
Motion carried 7-0.
Next item.
Commissioners, next item is agenda item E2. It's CDD 25-1124. It's a petition to expand the Roding Road North Community Development District. This petition has been submitted by the Roding Road North CDD to expand the CDD by adding approximately 10.57 acres of the CDD. The revised CDD would encompass 191.2 acres and is located in the north and south side of Roding Road, west of the intersection of Roding Road and Balm River Road and Balm. No objections to the proposed CDD were raised. Staff finds the application meets the requirements of Chapter 190 Florida statutes to expand the Community Development District and recommends approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this item? Not, can we have a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Motion Commissioner Wostel, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on E2.
I vote yes. My thing is stuck. There we go.
Okay. Motion carried 7-0.
Hey, Mr. Grady.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item F1, rezoning PD 24-0591. This is a request to rezone in a parcel zone AS1 to a planned development. It's located at the southeast corner of Stearns Road and Lithia Pinecrest. The request is for a 5,000 square foot health practitioner's office. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent with the plan, and the hearing officer also recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning, sir.
I think the record is sound on this. We're just here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Planning Commission?
Good morning, Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the residential 4 future land use designation. It's in the urban service area, and it is not within the limits of a community plan. It's in the urban service area where, according to Objective 1 of the future land use element, 80% of all population growth will occur. The applicant is proposing a health practitioner's office on a site that meets commercial locational criteria, has limited the size of the building to a neighborhood scale, and is proposing to meet the buffering and screening requirements on the eastern boundary that is adjacent to other residential uses. So the Proposal meets the intent of the neighborhood protection policies also outlined in the future land use element under Objective 16, which requires development and redevelopment to be integrated with adjacent land uses through the creation of like or complementary uses. The request to rezone the property to allow for a health practitioner's office is consistent with this policy direction, as the proposed use is low in intensity with operating characteristics similar to a typical office use. Overall, staff found that the proposed use is allowable in the residential 4 future land use category and is compatible with the existing development pattern, therefore finds it consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master reviewed the applicant's request for a rezoning from AS1 to the Planned Development Zoning District for the development of a dental office. No PD variations or waivers are being requested. The Planning Commission staff supports the rezoning request and found it to be compatible with the development pattern in the area and the comprehensive plan. Additionally, Development Services does support the request as well. One person testified in opposition. At the hearing, concerns were related to Lithia Pinecrest Road being a failed roadway and that the existing traffic conditions could worsen. Transportation review staff testified that Lithia Pinecrest Road is a failed roadway. However, concurrency is no longer in effect under state law. The development is now under a mobility fee system, and staff is not permitted to hold developers accountable for existing deficiencies. If a developer pays their mobility fee, they are deemed to have satisfied the mitigation of their impact on the roadway system, and then it is up to the county to provide and program transportation improvements. The zoning hearing master concluded that the request for PD zoning for the development of a dentist office is compatible with the area and recommended approval.
Can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Wellstell, second Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
F2.
Commissioners, the next item is F2, rezoning PD 24-0924. This is a request to rezone an 11.57 acre parcel that's currently zoned agricultural rural to a planned development. It's located on the south side of Dixon Road, east of US 301. Again, the request is for planned development. They're requesting 36 single-family dwelling units, minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet. Again, Res 4 plan category, staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent in the hearing, also recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Isabel Albert with HAF, representing the applicant. I have a quick presentation for you, please. So as Mr. Grady stated, this is 11.5 acre site. It's located in the Riverview and South Shore Community Plan, also in the urban service area, and it has a residential 4 future land use. Big Bend Road is to the south, and Summerfield Crossing is just to the south, and you can see there's a lot of development around the area. This is for a 36 single-family units, 5,000 square foot lots. The Planning Commission reviewed the request and found it consistent with the Hillsborough County comprehensive plans with numerous policies and objectives that are found here, as well as the next page. And Development Services also reviewed the case and found it consistent and compatible with the area. And the hearing officer also found it approvable. We had a couple of neighborhood meetings with the neighbors, and some of the concerns that were raised was the wetlands on site, and therefore we were working with EPC. I have our biologist here that's going to go a little bit more, just to explain a little bit more what we've been working with EPC for the last 2 years. Thank you.
Good morning, Drew Sanders, HAF Associates. I was brought in to assist with some of the wetland issues, as Isabel just noted. There were some alterations on the property that occurred previously, and my involvement was to coordinate with EPC to develop a plan that would restore those wetlands and the wetland functions. And that work ultimately resulted in a consent order being issued and signed, and that restoration work having been completed. EPC has reviewed it and has signed off at this time, and ongoing monitoring is being taken place. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that completes our presentation. With us also, we have Mr. Michael Yates, our traffic engineer, and we're here if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right, please come forward. You have a total of 10 minutes. Do you have a speaker, anyone that's going to speak? Please come forward, ma'am.
I have a thumb drive that I'd like to put in. This is not new evidence. I emailed yesterday when I signed up to speak, asking that I be able to play this.
Sir, is that provided before the zoning hearing master meeting or during?
All this evidence is in optics and has been there for anyone to review.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I know how to work this.
All right. I'll fix this for you. Just give me a second.
I want to show this piece.
All right, let me get rid of this first. Which one?
This one right here.
The piece of hand? Okay. Is this a video?
Yes. No, that's actually, it's not. It's a picture. It's a picture. Okay, this is
Please state your name, sir.
Pardon?
Please state your name.
My name is Brent Davis. I'm at 10609 Dixon Drive. This is our little piece of heaven right here that you see. Surrounding us are Summerfield, Panther Trace, and a number of other communities. But our place is unique. It's one way in, one way out. And this is what we have here. I'm not sure if I know how to advance this. I don't want to use up all my time trying to advance it. Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you.
You only have one picture, or do you have
No,
more?
I have 2 more pictures and 2 videos. Well, before all of my time has been exhausted.
The clock has not been running, sir.
Pardon me?
The clock has not been running.
Thank you.
Which is the other one?
Go to this one right here. This is a video construction.
There'll be no sound, okay? So
Okay, that's fine.
That's okay?
That's okay.
Video with no sound.
This is what happened to this property back in 2021. The owners came in and removed the fish ponds and drained all the toxic chemicals into the ditch. The EPC said they'd never seen levels that high before when they tested it. And you can see where they've filled in the fish ponds, sold out all the fill dirt, and then buried the construction debris. You can see the dumpsters and so forth over in the wetland area. So that's still buried there to this date. How do I advance it here?
Okay, let me get you in there.
All right, we're going to have to continue this item if we can't get the IT issues settled out.
Yeah, I don't mean to take up too much time
Which is
here.
the other one?
Go to this flood video right here.
Sir, if you could please just hold off playing the video. We're trying to confirm if that's part of the record for the application.
Do we need to continue this?
I think that would be
All right,
helpful.
we're going to continue this until after the next item.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion, Commissioner Wostel, second Commissioner Miller. Please record your vote. IT, please work out any of the IT issues.
Motion carried 7-0.
F3.
Commissioners, next item is F3, PD 24-1075. This is a request to rezone a 2.4-acre parcel that's on the north side of Palm River Road, east of Maydale Drive. The request is to rezone from RDC 12 to a planned development to provide for 28 duplex units, and including a affordable housing density bonus. Staff did find this approvable. The Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer also recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hi, I'm actually the traffic consultant. The other consultant's not here yet. I told him he had a while because of the other case, so he's parking. But basically, staff will do a...
Your name for the record,
Oh, I'm
please?
sorry. Elizabeth Rodriguez, 18156 Sandy Point, Tampa, Florida. We're developing 28 duplexes on Palm River Road, and I'll just be available for any questions, and the other consultant should be here in just a minute, but...
Okay.
Thanks.
Good job. Adam, is there any opposition or any concerns from staff on this?
There was no concerns. We did have one inquiry from a gentleman about the shared access, but it was clarified to them that it is not changing their access today. So no staff concerns, recommended for approval.
Okay. I'll ask, any proponent testimony, any opponent testimony? Planning Commission?
The subject site is located in the residential 9 future land use designation. It's in the urban service area and within the Greater Palm River community plan area. The proposal meets the intent of Objective 1 and Policy 1.4 of the future land use element by providing residential uses within the urban service area, which is where 80% of future growth is to be directed. The proposal also meets multiple goals and strategies within the Greater Palm River community plan, which is in the livable communities element, which establishes guidance on the community identity and planning growth. Overall, the request is consistent with these policies, and staff found the overall proposal consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan as it's compatible and subject to the conditions set by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Hearing Master?
Apologies. The applicant's request is to the Planned Development Zoning District
Can you
for the
move your
development
microphone
of
towards
28 duplex-style affordable housing dwelling units, and the zoning hearing master reviewed the request, noting that a planned development variation is requested to reduce the required 5-foot buffer to 0 feet to allow the project to meet the cross-access requirement. And this variation was found to meet the land development code as necessary to achieve cross-access and is not expected to substantially interfere with adjacent property owners. The zoning hearing master noted that concerns and opposition were noted at the ZHM pertaining to possible shared access that was perceived as potentially negatively affecting the neighboring property. Transportation Review Section staff testified that the access is being set up for future development when the applicant no longer wishes to live there or develop someday to provide the ability to meet access spacing. The zoning hearing master noted that the subject property is currently zoned RDC 12, which permits duplex residential dwelling units at a maximum of 21 dwelling units. The applicant is requesting an additional 7 dwelling units using the affordable housing density bonus for a total of 28 duplex dwelling units. The zoning hearing master concluded that the request for the development of 28 duplex-style affordable housing dwelling units is compatible with the area and consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code, and the zoning hearing master recommended approval.
Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Meyer, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
F4.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item F4, major mod application 24-1141. The request is for a modification to a portion of a planned development that is located at the southwest corner of Livingston Avenue and Sinclair Hills Road. The request is to modify the portion of the PD that's located directly at the corner. They're requesting 2 development options, one being 2 food trucks and 1,236 square feet of limited commercial uses. And the second option being a single structure of 6,328 square feet for, again, limited commercial uses. Staff did not find this approval and was not supportive of it. Planning Commission found it inconsistent, and the hearing officer recommended denial. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, applicant here. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, staff. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. This is Major Mod 24-1141. A remand was asked on this because a few of the uses that were restricted were not permissible to restrict. State law doesn't allow it. That was the only reason for the remand, which is part of the record from the ZHM. This is a request that is seeking a split of the original plan development and seeking two separate options. Located in the Lutz area, 0.9 acres. You can see that we're located north of north of 678 on Sinclair Road at Livingston Avenue. This is the current 06 approval, which does allow for retail commercial use. You can see parking and the structure in the cross piece, top of the T. So today's application only responds to or only addresses that top portion that you can see here. The rear portion's not included. Today's PD is strictly the area along Sinclair Road, which is composed of two parcels. The original approval was for 3,500 square foot dry cleaners. Here's a little closer look of that PD of the current approval, which is, of course, on record permissible today. And one of the critical aspects of the current approval is that the uses are less intense as you move away from the intersection, both to the south and in the other direction. So the proposed plan number one, option one, are two food trucks and one-story commercial at 1,236 square feet, C and CG uses. And the function here, overall, commissioners, is respond to a site that needs a cleanup, needs to be redeveloped, needs to be brought to today's standard. This would be option number one. Option number two would be a one-story commercial, 6,238 square foot, CN and CG uses. And looking again at the 06 approval, it pretty much reflects that to a pretty good degree. We have a long list of restricted uses. Many uses that we felt would be too intensive or too impactful. We tried to work with staff on those, but things from bars, taverns, nightclubs, liquor stores, service stations, gasoline sales services, those type of intensive uses we didn't think belonged at that intersection. So here's a view of the intersection. The site's on the left. You can see there's a gas station, busy, intensive use right across the street on Sinclair Hills, and a look at the current site. And again, the current site. And as I indicated, wanted to bring the site up to today's standard, bring it up to a nice standard, clean up, and change the uses that are on the site. In terms of future land use categories, we have R20, which is cross street, R6, which is our site, and R12. Those are relatively intensive future land use categories, and zoning, which matches. The 2019 traffic count in Livingston was 13,900, almost 14,000 vehicles per day. So it's a very busy roadway. We think the uses that are remaining proposed match that type of activity. We've added a maximum trip rate, which would control the uses as well in terms of that maximum trip rate. Under the Lutz Community Plan, the commercial character notes to retain existing and encourage new commercial uses geared to serving the daily needs of residents in a scaled design that complements the character, which we think we're doing, and that's what we're trying to do, is trying to meet this type of commercial character direction from the community plan, which also notes to improve design aesthetics to make the physical development of the community more attractive, provide for individual expression, which I think you can see from the photos. What we're proposing would be an improvement. I would suggest a drastic improvement to what is at the site now. We are asking for a number of buffers. I'm showing you in the green along Sinclair, 6 foot where 8 foot's required. On the rear, 15 foot where 20 foot's required. Option number two, they're relatively the same, 6 feet where 8 feet's required on Sinclair and 15 feet where 20 feet is required on the rear. Obviously, we're talking about a very thin, non-wide site, so we're trying to react to that as best as we can. And again, business activity is focused at the intersection and focused towards Sinclair, which across the street is the gasoline service station. There is a locational waiver. We based it upon the placement of uses towards the intersection further from the residential. The remaining existence and use of the split PD located at the busy intersection and the long list of restricted uses. So showing again the approved PD would allow for a drive-through, which would be abutting to the uses to the south, which are not part of the PD under the original approved PD. I also have to submit the record, which was submitted to ZHM, was the list of conditions if the commissioners move forward for approval, if I may put this in the record. I was asked to submit those again.
Just to clarify, those are the conditions you submitted, and those are the same conditions that you submitted to staff for review for implementability?
They're exactly the same. I was asked to present those again today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone here in opposition? Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nisha Sufan. My property is 15118 Livingston Avenue. We bought this property like 12 years ago for our kids' future. And our property is right next to them. 2/3 of our property, already 3/4 of their property is online. And they came from nowhere. This property is zoned for a laundromat, drive through a laundromat. And next thing you know, they turned to a smoke shop. They used to close at 7 o'clock in the morning, in the evening. Now they close at 1 o'clock in the morning. And all the traffic, all the light is residential community there. And they want to be close to my property. I think Hillsborough law say 20 feet away from me. I don't want them to be 5 feet away from me, you know? And it's already messy there. And they talk about these 2 buildings they have. These 2 buildings, they build them on the weekend with no permit, no license. And the other reason they're doing all this stuff is because they got cited by the code enforcement, and they've been going to court for the last 2.5 years because they violated the law. They're not supposed to have no smoke shop or food trucks there. And they turned the nice, beautiful area to jungle. So please, I want them to be away from me as far as you guys, what the law say, which I think is 20 feet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in opposition? All right, the applicant has opportunity for rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. As I indicated, we're here today reacting to the code enforcement issues and what's on the site to bring forward a site that is compliant. That's an improvement. The gentleman who spoke is the owner of the PD, which is a part of this PD, although we've excluded our part today. So they are an active part of the plan development that's before you in terms of that southern end. I will tell you that we noticed a total of about 20 people numerous times, numerous times. So the public and the radius of 300 feet of neighbors have been noticed substantially with yellow signs out there for many months. So I think we're doing really good just having one opponent here, and we appreciate your attention and happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Planning Commission.
Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site's located in the Residential 6 future land use designation. It's in the urban service area, and it is not within the limits of a community plan, which I just wanted to clarify for the record because I believe the applicant stated that it's in the Lutz community plan. The major modification was remanded at the Board of County Commissioners land use meeting back on June 10th, 2025 in order to revisit the list of restricted uses. Subsequently, the applicant has added in some uses that were previously proposed to be restricted and does not modify Planning Commission staff's finding of inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The site does not meet commercial locational criteria, as the closest qualifying intersection is roughly 3,900 linear feet away, as opposed to the required 300 linear feet. The applicant provided a commercial locational criteria waiver for the proposal. However, staff has not determined any unique circumstances that would warrant a waiver to this criteria and recommends that the board deny the waiver request based on this information. Overall, the proposed major modification is not compatible with the existing development pattern found within the area, does not meet locational criteria, and staff finds that it's inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Hearing master.
The zoning hearing master reviewed the major modification request on the northern portion of an existing PD currently approved for 3,500 square feet of a dry cleaning facility with retention area. A remand was requested at the board's previous meeting to remove 3 land uses from the previously prohibited list of uses because those uses cannot be legally restricted under state law. 6 PD variations are being requested pertaining to the required buffer width to the south and the required buffer adjacent to the right-of-way to the north. These requests are being justified by the applicant by stating that the requested modifications are less intense than what is currently on site. The ZHM found that this assertion is unfounded as the county's transportation agency's comments state that the traffic volume is increased under both of the options that are being proposed, and the applicant had not established difficulty in the design of the site plan, which would necessitate a reduction in the buffer width to the south or to the north. The zoning hearing master noted that testimony in opposition was provided at the remand zoning hearing master hearing by 2 area property owners. Concerns included late night, early morning operations of the existing food trucks, trash on the site, lining, and possible flooding caused by the addition of 2 sheds that were recently added. The applicant's representative stated that the modification was submitted to address code enforcement issues. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed modification is incompatible with the surrounding development pattern and inconsistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code. And the zoning hearing master concluded with a recommendation of denial.
Okay, going to board discussion. Commissioner Wolstel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I felt like the applicant's representation did a good job. That being said, it's extremely rare for us to get a 3 strikes or out on zoning hearing master, development services, and planning commission. Usually they'll get like a 2 and a 1 or a 1 and a 2, but for all 3 of them to say no, I think that it's a great representation of why I won't be supporting this today. I also felt like one of the options was essentially placing the commercial business right on top of the homeowner, evidently that just spoke. So for all of those myriad of reasons and all 3 of the not supportables, inconsistencies, and denials, I will move for denial of this item.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion for denial by Commissioner Wolstel, second Commissioner Cohen. Commissioner Cohen.
I don't really have much more to add other than I also have some trouble with the buffers and honestly, the food truck option in abutting residential with a waiver just is, to me, is not going to do it.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Okay, F5?
No.
Let me edit the vote. I'm sorry. Motion carried, 6-1. Commissioner Cameron Cepeda voted no.
Mr. Chair, she had technical issues. She intended to vote yes.
Okay, please change the vote to 7-0.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Okay. F5?
Next item is F5, rezoning PD 24-1263. The request is to rezone a 32.33 acre parcel that's located on the east side of Dover Road, north of the intersection of Ottawa Run and South Dover Road intersection. Rezonings from RSC2 and ASC1 to a PD for a 62-unit single-family home subdivision with minimum lot size of 6,600 square feet. Has a Res 4 plan category, therefore Staff did find this approval subject to conditions. The hearing officer recommended approval, and the planning commission found it consistent with the plan. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Good morning, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson, representing Homes by West Bay this morning. If this site looks familiar to you, you did hear this in a comprehensive plan amendment, 2 comprehensive plan amendments, one to bring it into the urban service area and the other to make the land use Res 4. We are actually at a density of 1.92 units per acre because we have, I'll just put up a colorized version of the site plan. We are preserving wetlands, and we have a large stormwater pond on site to help try to attenuate some of the drainage that's coming off the site now. Right now, it comes off as a uncontrolled flow, and then with our stormwater pond, we will actually have some control to that and slow that water down. Our transportation engineer and our civil engineer are here to answer any questions, should you have any.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone here in opposition? Please come forward.
Chairman, I do believe we have someone virtually as well.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Yvette Neiman. I live in Dover Woods, which is right at Ground Zero. Our local coalition of property owners and residents that surround this area strongly oppose this application for the following reasons. 1, the proposed density is not compatible with the surrounding properties. The adjacent lots to the north and south are large lots with some over 2 acres. The proposed buffers between dwellings is way too dense. 2, their plan intends to direct water runoff northward. However, runoff in the area invariably flows north to south. There's always been runoff problems on this and adjacent properties. You will be making things much worse if you let this project move forward. 3, South Dover Road is a rural collector road. This development will push the trip generation over the top. The applicant is quick to say that they have nothing to do with the EIP development. However, both of these projects will push both the traffic and the water runoff will be detrimental to all of the adjacent properties. Do not approve this project. Keep the density matching the adjacent properties. Our community would not object to a project like that. Thank you.
Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please.
If there's no one in person, we can go virtual.
Good morning. My name is Pete Floyd, and my wife live at 2023 Martin Road. The proposed development is adjacent to our property on the west. I am concerned about the gate that will be placed as a future entrance into our property in order to access Martin Road.
I'm sorry, sir.
This is a different issue.
Did you say your name was Pete Floyd?
Yes.
Okay, I do not have you as a party of record. Did you speak at the zoning hearing master hearing?
No.
Okay, I don't have anything from you in the record to create party of record status either. So unfortunately, you can't speak to the application, and someone else will need to speak at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone here that is a party of record?
I think this is a different case.
If it's
He's speaking of a different case.
James Floyd, I do have James Floyd. Are you James Floyd? Okay.
Pete.
Please continue, James.
Everyone calls me Pete. I apologize.
Okay, James, that's okay. Please continue.
Thank you so much. Okay. My name is James Floyd. 2023 Martin Road. My wife and I live there and have lived there for 30 years. I'll start over again, please. Thank you for the indulgence. The proposed development is adjacent to our property on the west. I'm concerned about the gate that will be placed as a future entrance to our property in order to access Martin Road. This is private property, and we now have and never will give permission to the county to use our property for access to this development. In fact, you would have to demolish our home in order to do so. The property proposed for this development in this hearing is low and wet and will have to be built up considerably to prevent new homes from flooding. The development will be higher and the properties around it, including ours. Even though the developer is providing wet and dry stormwater ponds and intends to contain the floodwaters, we all saw with Milton last year, the stormwater ponds can overflow in a severe rain event, and the excess water has to go somewhere. Water will always flow downhill. The proposed road stub out that terminates at the gate will provide an access point to funnel those excess floodwaters directly onto our property and our southern neighbor's property. There are several buildings nearby that would also be flooded by the runoff. We will be subject to flooding in general because the property will be higher than ours. We don't need a roadway that steers that water directly onto our property. The county policy requiring this gate access is just that, a policy, not a law. It is not something the developer wants, and my wife and I are asking that you eliminate this access point to our property and thereby protect us from stormwater runoff from this development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. George, my name is George Neiman. I live in Dover Woods, which borders the applicant's property. Our community is overwhelmingly opposing this application. Even though it's 32 acres total, the dwellings are being crammed into only a portion of it because of the runoff problems and the need to have huge retention pond expanded, making it much more dense than the surrounding properties. The project will make the existing water runoff problems much worse. The trip generation report shows that it will increase traffic volumes to an unacceptable level. The project is inconsistent with the comp plan in more than one element, and yet the Planning Commission tells you it's consistent and the staffs tell you the traffic numbers are okay. The Planning Commission consistently ignores inconsistencies. You've heard of fake news? Well, this is fake participation. Let's end this tyrannical process. Listen to us, the surrounding neighbors. Give us a voice that matters. Say no and let this applicant go back and resubmit something that is compatible and isn't going to harm us and intensify problems our area already has, and they can develop according to what the surrounding properties have, and no one would object, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the boardroom that's a part of your record? Yes. Good morning.
My name is Debbie Holiday. I live at 2130 Martin Road. Oh, sorry. I always forget. I live at 2130 Martin Road, Dover, Florida. I oppose 24-1263 for the following reasons. The main exit for this development will be Dover Road. The EIP project, which already has been approved, also will have 1,200 more homes, and it is adjacent to this property for this development. Another development of 30-plus homes is currently already under construction off of Durant. Traffic on Dover travels south to Durant because of 4 school systems on Durant and Turkey Creek Road. Right now, the traffic is gridlocked. You can see from the pictures all the traffic that we are getting. And this is an everyday thing. I can't even turn left in the morning to go anywhere. An emergency gate, which Pete talked about, says it's going to have signs on it that says future road access. And that is on Martin Road, where their property is. At the hotel meeting where West Bay presented their plan,
they stated the gate would be used as a, quote, move east. East is Martin Road, so I feel like they have an intention. This would create the beginning of urban sprawl, as the first thing to the east is Martin. We are, of course, concerned about the flooding problems, as already mentioned to you guys. Neighbors to the south at the hotel meeting where West Bay presented their plan expressed their concerns about flooding. West Bay said there was going to be 3 ponds, and if this development gets approved for the 62 homes, that would likely help the flooding situation, but only if they get approval. There's also the compatibility issues that Yvette raised. South, north, and east of this development are home sites that are much lower in density. This one right here is Dover Road, by the way. This is the traffic.
Speak in the microphone, please.
I'm sorry. That picture right there is Dover Road traffic moving down toward Durant, moving south. And this is just going to add even more traffic for us. This is also Turkey Creek, and they're heading to and from the Durant High School. So it's always congested, either going down Durant or going down Turkey Creek. The home sites, too, as far as compatibility, this is Martin Road and what the home sites look like. They're much larger home sites. Martin Road, again, is a one-lane road, which Pete talked about the emergency exit there. I don't know how an emergency vehicle would even get down the road to even get down to their property. Sorry, thank you. As far as compatibility issues for Dover Road, these properties, this one in particular, is right next door to that property to be developed. These others are also south of that. They are much larger lots. Some of them is 5 acres. Okay. On this one, you can see this is the John Berry property, West Bay property, and it goes here to here. And then this is Dover Road, and the traffic will flow down to Durant Road right there. And so it goes that way and it goes this way, because going that way, there's the Nelson Elementary School, and going the other way is the Mulrennan. Again, if you go back that way, you have to go to Turkey Creek to get to the high school, and that's where we're jammed up there too. Can I say one more thing? I have a big concern about the traffic in Brandon. Twice I've been out there, and at Kings Avenue and 60, I know it doesn't pertain to the development, but.
Time's up. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry.
At this time, applicant has opportunity for rebuttal.
Good morning, Cammie Corbett again for Ward Henderson for the applicant. Just to talk about the access to Martin Road. They're talking about this stub out to the east here. That is something that was required by the county for cross-access. It's very common. It's not something we asked for, not something we're planning to develop, not a grand plan that Homes by West Bay has. It was just a county requirement and necessary to gain the support of the application. And I'd like to have Jeremy Couch come up and talk about the drainage and flooding, please.
Chairman, Commissioners, Jeremy Couch, 17937 Hunting Bow Circle, Lutz 33558. I'm the professional engineer that prepared the plans and a drainage engineer. So our project, right now, the current situation is the site is higher than the subdivision to the south. Rains, dumps, floods to the south. What we explained to the residents in the meeting is that when we develop, we have the ability to grab that water, design it to hold volume, and reduce flows to the south, which should make things better for everyone. The code requires that we do not dump water on the neighbors to the east. Any water that flows in, we have to take in, are planning to take in, and will accommodate. and the project will meet all of the requirements of the code. Thank you.
Cami Corbett again. And again, with respect to compatibility, we are at 1.92 units per acre. The land use category allows 4 units the acre. And as you heard from staff, and you'll hear probably in the Planning Commission's report and in the zoning hearing master, some of this property is already zoned RSC2. So we're very consistent with what is in and around the surrounding area, and we are within the urban service area. So we have recommendations of approval from all reviewing agencies, and with that, we'd respectfully request your approval and here to answer any questions you might have.
Planning Commission.
Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site's located in the residential 4 future land use designation. It's not within the limits of a community plan, and it's in the urban service area, which according to objective 1.1 of the future land use section, 80% of the county's growth is to be directed. Policy 3.1.3 requires all new developments to be compatible with the surrounding area, noting that compatibility does not mean the same as. Rather, it refers to the sensitivity of the development proposals in maintaining the character of the existing development. The proposed density at 1.92 dwelling units per acre is reflective of the lot sizes in the surrounding neighborhoods, particularly on the west side of South Dover Road. Also, a significant amount of retention area is proposed along the north and west sides of the proposed building envelopes, which serves as a buffer, therefore meeting future land use section objective 4.4 relating to neighborhood protection and development. Overall, staff finds that the proposed use is allowed in the residential 4 category and is compatible with the existing development, and finds that the proposed plan development is consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master reviewed the applicant's request for rezoning from ASC1 and RSC2 to plan development for the development of 62 single-family homes. No variations or waivers are being requested as part of this plan development proposal. Excuse me. The property was recently the subject of 2 comprehensive plan amendments, which brought the property into the urban service area and amended the future land use category to residential 4. Excuse me. Testimony in opposition was provided and submitted into the record. Concerns included incompatibility with the surrounding rural area, the existing traffic conditions, and possible negative impacts of the project traffic, as well as concerns about flooding. In response, the applicant's drainage and transportation engineers testified that the project will be required to adhere to all applicable Hillsborough County and SWIFMUD regulations. The request to plan development for the development of 62 single-family homes was found by the zoning hearing master to be compatible with the area and consistent with the code and the comprehensive plan. And the zoning hearing master concluded with a recommendation of approval.
Commissioner Rostel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to have a quick conversation about this gate, the cross-access thing. Is it true that that's not what the developer wants? It's an R policy?
Yes, this was something that was county-driven, I believe.
And it looks like there's a south egress, though, not too far from that, right?
Correct. That's correct, yes, sir.
So the east egress seems unnecessary for those reasons. I'd be favorable if the applicant is willing, I'm assuming they are since we're the one that made them. And then I know that Mr. Floyd would be grateful that if we can remove that, is that agreeable? If this proceeds forward, that we can remove that east access requirement?
Cami Corbett, for the record, yes, that is acceptable to the applicant.
Okay, so first, I would be favorable of removing that, as Mr. Floyd had indicated, and Martin Road does look actually substandard. Now, I want to get to the zoning question. On a lot of these, there's not very much dispute. It's all approvable, so we move them through because this is a legal process. Just as you found out earlier, if you haven't spoke on the legal record, you can't speak. Land use is very complicated. That's why there's very expensive engineers and land use attorneys that are hired for this process. And a lot of even our own constituents don't understand when they come here that these are considered quasi-judicial by state law, so we can't even legally communicate with you about a pending rezone. That's that's how strict these are. It's a legal process, and that legal process exists to avoid favoritism and elected officials picking winners and choosers of what people can do with their private property. It goes through a history of corruption from elected officials. Hillsborough County, notably, has the most, I think, arrested past Hillsborough County commissioners than any other county. I think the number is 5, and I'm happy to be fact-checked on that. But this backup alone is 399 pages. For all of the ones we're hearing, there are thousands of pages of backups on each one of these rezoning processes. But on this one, I didn't have to go very far. On page 1 of this, and Mr. Gormley, please correct me if I'm wrong, but 2/3 of this property is already zoned 2 units per acre, and then the other third is 1 unit. They could get 52 units out of the current zonings, right?
That is correct on the current zoning, and the math works to that number, yes, sir.
And then the math, even though they are future land use category of residential for 4 homes per acre, they're still only getting 1.92, which is close to the average of the 2 combined together. They're getting a net of 10 homes more out of the 52 they could already get. So, I mean, really the rezone is negligible almost at this point, because they could go after what's already existing in a different way, and it would probably be less functional than it is right now. For all of those reasons, they have all measures of consistencies and approval by the zoning hearing master. I'm going to move for approval with the removal of the east gate access requirement.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion to approve by Commissioner Wolsel, second Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Bowles?
Mr. Gormley, may I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Condition 8 talks about a southbound turn lane to happen with the initial increment of development. What's the initial increment of development mean? I've driven down that road quite often, both in my personal vehicle and an emergency vehicle. I understand that there's a lot of traffic. We've seen evidence to that effect. That southbound turning lane, just for the construction, we got dump trucks, whatever's coming in, contractors, all that. How would that take place? I don't understand what the initial increment of development is, because is that like they put a shovel in the ground, they start doing the turn lane, or can they do it beforehand? I see that being, maybe something that needs to happen, maybe a little bit beforehand. Maybe we get ahead of the problem that already exists.
So the reference to first increment of development is, when we use that term, we're talking about when they first develop the site, whether it's for the full number of units approved or if it's a phase to the project. What we're saying with that condition is, as soon as you're developing a portion of the site, those plans will need to include the turn lane, even if the turn lane isn't necessarily warranted by, say, if they're going to do a phase of, a small phase of development first. It does not typically affect like a pre-construction turn lane. So it is really to get the, if the project is phased, then the turn lane comes in with any new impact of new residences.
So they'll happen concurrent to each other. So basically, they put a shovel in the ground in the back. They're starting working on that road out front.
Correct. And
which will probably mess up traffic a lot more for some period of time, which will frustrate everybody even more. But that will happen essentially at the same time.
Correct. And the way that's structured, the no homes will be able to get certificates of occupancy, impact generating approvals until that turn lane is in and functional and accepted.
And do we have public utilities on that side of the road already? Or are they going to have to dig across, and are you aware?
I'm not aware of what side of the road the utilities are
We
on.
know they're on the west side, absolutely, for sure. And we know that they're potentially in the urban service area because we call that under the EIP nonsense, on the east side, it's in the urban service area. But are there actual utilities there? Because I think I've heard Mr. Neiman, who lives on the east side, say several times that he's on a well.
Yeah, for sure there are utilities on the west side of the road. I believe Mr. Neiman's subdivision, yes, is served by well water, so there wouldn't be a line to there. In the event that they need to cross the road, they'll take the line under the road.
Yeah. I would just only bring that up because that just provides further disruption in traffic flow. So I'm just thinking about those things, so.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for answering my questions.
Commissioner Wilstall?
Thanks. I also forgot to mention the very important point that Ms. Lundgren said earlier in this board meeting is that I appreciated the comments about from the one resident about the traffic on Dover, but we cannot deny something that's met all other legal standards. We cannot deny on the grounds of traffic. In fact, since I've been here, which has only been less than 3 years, we've had one go to court and the judge made some pretty reprimanding comments because one of the no votes from one of the sitting commissioners brought up traffic. We cannot do it. We cannot, that is not a legally substantive reason, substantial evidence to deny something. And this, unfortunately, in your eyes, has met all of those approvals. So I'll just leave it there that we cannot deny for reasons of traffic.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
F6.
Next item is agenda item F6, rezoning PD 25-0602. The request is for a modification to a 0.73 acre parcel that's located at the northeast corner of North Boulevard and West 131st Avenue. The request to rezone from RSC 6 to a planned development. The applicant is requesting to be permitted a 14-bed community residential home. Staff did find this approval subject to conditions. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer recommended approval. And staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, applicant here.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is 25-0602, 0.73 acres. Currently, it's RSC 6 zoning category. This is a planned development for a community residential type B home, which is a maximum of 14 residents. We have one added condition is that the business or operation must be licensed by ACA. And we have a clean sweep of reviews for you. Planning Commission is consistent. Development Services supports it. ZHM approves. There's no agency objections. We did have some citizens at the zoning hearing master meeting. When the zoning hearing master recommended support, she knew that a community residential home is not a commercial use. It is a residential support use per Planning Commission and Comp Plan Policy 4.6.1. Found it compatible, consistent, and again, it is not a professional residential facility which allows for addiction work, folks with addiction issues. That's a separate, complete separate use and separate category under zoning. This is located in the greater Carrollwood area, Northdale, 0.73 acres as I indicated. It's on North Boulevard, south of Fletcher Avenue. This is as per the property appraiser has it. A little closer, it's located at the intersection North Boulevard and West 131st. I'd like to introduce LaTanya. LaTanya Boykins and her husband, Cliff, here's Cliff, are the applicants. This would be privately owned and operated by LaTanya and Cliff. They have a total of 5 facilities. They manage about 80 residents and have been doing this since May 1st. She'll speak for a few minutes when I'm done. And these are a couple pictures of the site that is somewhat near the proposed site. You can see in the bottom, we did have a meeting with neighbors and had a good positive result with them. LaTanya is a licensed court trainer for the state of Florida. Facilitating operators required to take a 26-hour training and pass 100 question tests, and she teaches court training, which covers that for state regulations for the ALF's adult living facilities. She was nominated by the mayor in Hillsborough County for a Trailblazer Award, which has been her life work. And just to give you an idea, this is one of her facilities on LaTanya Drive, Cape Bend Avenue, and Northeast Lake. So this is the plan that's proposed for this site at North Boulevard and 131st. There's a significant retention on the north, the community residential homes in the center, parking is 8 spaces plus 1 handicapped. Looking at a low-colorized plan, we have a 15-foot enhanced type A buffer, 6-foot shade trees, 50-foot on center. So we've done everything that we can to buffer and screen the use. And building setbacks to neighbors is pretty substantial, 47 feet to the north, where only 7.5 is required, 94 feet to the east, where 7.5 is required, 177 feet to the south, and 104 feet to the west. A specific requirement for congregate living facilities is that they shall be designed and appear as similar to residential structures possible, and this is just a very, very rough first concept of what would be proposed here. This would be the home abutting to the east. This would be the home abutting to the north. This would be the view westward, which would then cross over North Boulevard. And looking southward, the proposed site is on the left. North Boulevard is running north-south on your right. These are just a couple shots of Latanya and Cliff's location, which is pretty near the vicinity. And this is where we met with neighbors. They run a very nice facility. I've been in a lot of these, and they're very, very nice and very well run. So items to consider is there is a separation requirement to residential structure zoning, where 39.2 feet more or less is the closest measured to the adjacent residential. There are 3 other facilities that pop up on the radius. They're a little bit different. One is an Aspire nursing home, which is a 120-bed large-scale commercial home. That's located way on Fletcher Avenue, far outside the residential, up on the commercial street. There comes a listing for Walgreens Clinical Laboratory. This site was a mystery. I visited it myself. By internet search, it just appeared to be a typical Walgreens, which is located also way up on Fletcher. And there is one North Boulevard group home, which is for 6 females, that is located about 300 feet north of the subject site, which I show you here. It's a small facility, as you can see it on the right there as well, again, just for 6 persons. When you look at the comp plan policies, particularly in our housing, under equal access to housing, objective 1.6 is to promote, facilitate, provide housing opportunities to serve the older population. This is where there's been a push over the last 5-10 years for our grandmothers, grandfathers, fathers, mothers to be in a community, not in a sterile nursing home somewhere on a commercial boulevard, but to be a part of the community, which is one of the elements that Latanya and Cliff work with. 1.2.6, promote residential infill for flexible building envelope, parking, access, and setbacks while maintaining safety standards. We believe that we made that. Development of community residential homes will be allowed within each land use plan category that permits residential development. And again, under the code, this is a residential use, not a commercial use. 1.6.15, promote and prioritize senior housing and opportunities to age in place, which is a critical element at the local, state, and federal levels. Planning Commission recommendation notes that it is compatible with the existing development, supports the vision of the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Community Plan, and is consistent with the area. Development Services notes it's in keeping, the proposed building is in keeping with the height, scale, and mass and bulk of the residential development. Conditions are included requiring the facility be designed and constructed to resemble a residential structure. The proposed building height is 30 feet and is below the 35-foot maximum height. They note that the size of the lot could be developed with 2 single-family homes utilizing the existing RSC 6 development standards, and notes that the peak hour trips are comparable to the residential. Zoning hearing master recommends support, that it is compatible and consistent, and again, not a professional residential facility. We've looked at stormwater concerns, which were issues that some of those issues were raised. The impervious proposed is only 44%. Building coverage is only 19%. That's below the maximums that are permitted by code. And again, as indicated, on the site could be 2 residential homes, potentially about 6,000 square foot per home, which is extreme, but that is what code would allow with no stormwater whatsoever. So with that, we appreciate your consideration. I'd like to ask Latanya to come up and say a few words. We'll be happy to answer questions that you might have. Thank you. Latanya.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is LaTanya Boykins. I'm at 13444 Canopy Creek Drive, Tampa 33625. I just want to kind of piggyback a little bit off of what Todd said regarding my experience. I started in this 5 years ago, and this has been an ode to my grandmother. She did develop dementia, and she was unable to be in a large facility. And so that's when I started to explore other possibilities for our seniors and found that they can thrive in residential communities. And so what I did, because that's who raised me, was my grandmother, I opened my first facility in 2020, and it has been my life's work. I get a little emotional, I'm sorry. I feel like I shouldn't have to fight so hard for something so needed. You know what I mean? Kind of, I met with neighbors. I had them come over to the facility, and they were all astounded at how well the residents were kept. And one of the facilities that they were visiting was a 104-year-old resident. She could not survive in a large facility. And so then it starts to become, where do we go? Where do those residents go that can't go to the large facilities? So I have answered all the questions from the community. I understand, I build homes as well. My husband's a licensed contractor, so I understand their needs and their concerns. And I assured them that this will be built to code. And I went a step further. I said, okay, if folks going to oppose things, let me become a state core trainer for the state of Florida. And what that means is anyone that opens and operates a facility, those people must follow strict guidelines, and I teach that course. So I know most of those regulations to the letter. I am asking for your help in ensuring that our seniors have a safe place where they can thrive, where they can keep their dignity, and they can age in place. This is still considered a residential home. It is a home-like environment. We assist seniors with activities of daily living, grooming, bathing, and this is needed in our community. I want you guys to understand that there's no parties, people are hanging out. Most of my seniors couldn't do that even if they tried. They want a relaxing environment. Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Anyone in support of the application?
Good morning. My name is Benite Stewart. I'm the executive director of Annie's Assisted Living. I have worked with LaTanya Boykins for 2 years. Before this, my background was not in assisted living facility. My background was in pharmacy and teaching. When I came to this facility, I was blown away because of the level of care we provide to the seniors. I always thought when you walk into a nursing home or an assisted living, it's supposed to smell like urine. They're supposed to just sit and do nothing. When I walked into Annie's, I realized that that is not the case. You can walk to any of our facilities and they will smell clean. Our residents are well taken care of. They wear matching clothes. Their teeth are brushed. I know it sounds little things, but those little things matter when it's your family. And that's what, when I'm talking to potential family members who are looking to place their family members to our facility, I can speak in confidence about the care level we provide to their family members. And I can tell you, my phone always blows up because I have a waiting list for people waiting to get into Annie's. So we provide everything we can to our seniors, so I appreciate you. I know the neighbors have a concern about traffic. I wish that family members would come visit their families often. We don't have families that come visit their seniors often because they do have other lives as well. Yes, they're not going to party. It's going to be a residential facility. So I hope you guys look into how much this is needed in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. My name is Serena Stewart. I live at 8562 Tidal Bay Lane in Tampa, Florida. My father-in-law is a current resident at the Annie's Place on LaTanya Drive. And I want to speak to you first as a daughter who has struggled to find a place that is clean, that is safe and quiet for their older parents and grandparents. When it was determined by his physicians that he could no longer live on his own, and we, my husband and I, could not undertake the care that he would require 24 hours a day, we began to search in Hillsborough County for the appropriate place with his preferences in mind. Number one, it had to be home-like, it had to be quiet, he hates noise, and they had to have good food. So we went on the search. We went to a lot of these large LTACs that I think they spoke of, but when we visited Annie's Place, that's exactly what he wanted to be. I don't want any noise. I don't want a lot of ruckus in the street. I don't want to hear all this kind of music going down the road. That's what he got. But I can speak to you also as a registered nurse, and I've been so for 30 years, and I have a master's in geriatrics. They provide the health care necessary for my father-in-law and others there. Now, when you think about what you're going to do today, just think about the fact that many of you and some people behind me are currently challenged by the care of their elders, their family members that no longer are able to do for themselves. And it's a challenge. It's really hard. But I also want you to think of the fact that you're young today, and you're going to need a bed like this, probably in Hillsborough County. You don't want to stay in your home, you don't want to go to a large facility, but you want to feel like you're in a safe home-like environment. That's why approving this particular proposal is necessary as we encounter the rising numbers of geriatrics in our community. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Angelique Johnson. I am the co-founder of an organization called Small Assisted Living Coalition. I have a background in the smaller space in the residential settings as an administrator and owner-operator of an assisted living. So like Annie, I met LaTanya in 2020 when she first started, just after she started her first place. My role now is I provide placement service and referrals to families and seniors looking for those resources. And I can tell you that Annie's Assisted Living, all of them are at the top of the offerings that we provide to our clients. She runs an exceptionally good business, and every one of the dozen or so, maybe 2 dozen families that I've placed with LaTanya have thrived. And I'm definitely in support of her getting this facility license for the 14 residents that I'd love to bring to her. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in support? At this time, those in opposition will have a total of 10 minutes. Please, those that are going to speak, please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Beverly Keeney, and I live at 10902 North Edison Avenue. And this is right in Forest Hills in North Tampa, and I'm here because a lot of my neighbors are working. They're hard at work and really can't take the time to come to speak to you. I'm addressing you as the president of the Forest Hills Neighborhood Association, and I'm here on behalf of the residents like myself who surround these properties at the center of this rezoning vote. You may never have seen us at one of these meetings before because this rezoning request will be a first to put a huge development right in the middle of Forest Hills neighborhood. And our houses are not 6,000 square feet or 3,000 as they talked. Our houses are less than 1,800, most of us in our neighborhood. And Forest Hills Neighborhood Association, it's a very active one of members, and we have an outreach of 1,200 on our postal mailing list. We have 2,076 by digital outreach. And at the request of these nearby residents, our board voted on August 12th to strongly oppose the encroachment of a development within our single-family homes. And we attended the August 18th meeting with 14 residents, and at that time we had a petition of over 81 people that were right there and had gotten notice of the we appeared before the zoning hearing master, Ms. Finch. And our issues we did talk about were the area is prone to flooding. You might know Forest Hills from that. And also the infrastructure of our is not there to have stormwater drains and to bring those issues up. So at that meeting, I had a petition of 87 signatures, and it was presented in opposition of the project. We tried to re-upload. We're in the hundreds now, and this is my first meeting, so I guess we didn't do that correctly. I did bring 25 more letters from nearby residents 15 in this pile, sorry. And we added it to our agenda. We've had a lot of storm resiliency meetings in our neighborhood. We had another one August 27th, September 9th, and September 29th. And just when we spoke of this project, you're in dismay of all the attendees. And I'm just returned to inform you that we've got renewed members that will oppose any large development like this to be placed amid our homeowners' properties. And just, we want to know how many Hillsborough County voters do you guys need to say that we don't want an establishment like this? You know, and I ask you to look at the area. It's surrounded by homes. And many of them are longtime residents. They now own these multi-generational homes, and it would just take a devastating hit for this change. If you look at Forest Hills in general, we have our one north-south corridor, and that's North Boulevard. The only commercial establishments, I know there's a difference there, are at the intersection of Linebaugh, and those are churches, and the Forest Hills Deli, and then from there you go down to Bush, and it's also the high school. So if you travel north, the guy did mention that there are a Walgreens there, but there's nothing else on this road other than the convenience store and the banks that are on Fletcher Avenue. And that's a whole different type of road that's equipped, you know, for all the strain. And so there's no planned development that would offset having an active business, let's just call it a business, placed in the middle of our neighborhood homes. We believe this is best suited for a commercial area in Tampa, Hillsborough County. And just because it's inexpensive land, we've been through a lot of hits in Forest Hills. It doesn't make that the reason to change the designation for this. They did say that they would put homes there. That's fine. We love them. We will welcome them into the association. And so we just ask you to please help save our neighborhood and the valuable homes by voting in opposition of this rezoning. We deserve a place that we could peacefully pay our mortgage and maintain our houses in a safe place in the neighborhood. Thank you. I don't know, can I put these additional letters in, or as a way to, you said I could increase our evidence or the newer petition?
If those letters were not provided during the ZHM or before the ZHM hearing, they can't be provided now.
Okay, well, thank you. I just did want you to know there are in the hundreds of people that would like that not to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we have 5.5 minutes left.
Good morning, board, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Susan Dennis, and I live at 13109 North Hamner. I live one home away from this project that's currently being rezoned. I am opposed to the project because this construction is not allowable by the Land Development Code standards of Hillsborough County. This parcel, along with the surrounding neighborhood, is zoned RSC6 and does not allow community residential homes type B and C as the petitioner is requesting. For perspective, the major modification brings a commercial style structure into a neighborhood of single family homes. The home sizes that surround this parcel neighboring the roads are approximately 1,500 square feet, where the proposed building size will be 6,000 square feet. Our neighborhood homes include single family driveways, where this project has 6,000 square feet of a driveway, including a parking lot. The home recently demolished on this parcel was approximately 1,100 square feet. The recommendation from the land use hearing officer mentions that this project is compatible with the comprehensive plan 4.6.1. However, that contradicts 1.617 of the same plan to stabilize existing neighborhoods for preserving affordable housing units. We should not allow approval based on compatibility with one section while negating another. As clarified in the land use hearing, this parcel would be able to accept 2 residential homes. As a neighbor, I personally don't like to see our residential homes being converted to these commercial style businesses for CRH. However, it is allowable. I am asking the board to deny the petitioner's proposal and instead recommend the construction of 2 separate residential homes that would allow 6 patients in each unit. That would give the petitioner 12 patients for both of those units, unlike the 14 that they're requesting. But this would maintain the residential parcel. This would also be beneficial if and when the petitioner sells her portfolio of properties. These units could have the opportunity to revert back to single-family homes. We have heard supporters of this project. However, the supporters are not residents of this neighborhood. They are only supporters of the petitioner's character, and that is not what is in question for the land use meeting. We need to focus only that the project brings a commercial-style structure into a single-family neighborhood, and that Hillsborough County Land Development Code Section 2.02 does not allow operations in this zone area. I was at the neighborhood meeting, and although we did have a pleasant conversation, that does not mean the neighborhood is in approval of this. Your vote today would speak for the homeowners in the residential neighborhood to maintain the land use currently in place and stop dissecting parcels away from single-family homes. As an ode to my grandmother, as a third-generation resident, she moved onto this street when the interstate took her home. I want to preserve our neighborhood so we can continue to build other families in our area. Please vote no to this major modification project as it is currently proposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can scroll through.
Okay.
Just by doing that left and right arrow right there. Okay?
Very good. Wow, it's been a while. Commissioner Hagan, it was a pleasure serving with you 4 years ago. I know you guys have a tough job, and or for 4 years, I'm sorry, it's been more than 4 years, obviously, but you guys have a tough job, and I appreciate what you do. I appreciate the petitioner. She's very kind, entrepreneuring, and I appreciate that as well.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Oh, my name is Brian Blair, 12702 North Boulevard. Thank you very much. Forest Hills is a beautiful neighborhood in which I've lived for over 42 years, and as the last person said, none of these people live in our neighborhood. The proposed project would destroy, and it would destroy the character of our neighborhood, and there's a reason it's denied in the LDC. How do I do that? Is that it? Oh, no. There's a reason it's denied in the LDC. The subject property is completely surrounded by single-family homes, and every time it rains, it floods. That was just a small rain on August 8th. It wasn't even a large rain. This is a terrible flood zone. The streets are torn up on North Boulevard, adjacent to the property from the stormwater and flooding with no solution in sight. Can you imagine the adverse impact of another 12,000 impervious square feet on this area that already floods? It's terrible. The pollution is going into our lakes right now. Norris Lake is a basin lake from the failed 2007-2008 project. Commissioner Hagan, you were there when EPC and Public Works both told us it wouldn't adversely affect the lake. It did. It's horrible. The petitioners are in 6-bed facilities. As Susan said, we wouldn't mind if it looked like the neighborhood and there was a 6-bed facility. When I was on the BOCC, we never approved a commercial project in a single-family neighborhood when the neighborhood opposed it, regardless of staff comments, especially when 99.9% of the neighborhood completely opposed this project. It's obvious that the petitioner is trying to get commercial property at residential prices and could care less about the residents who live there. Common sense says that this project simply doesn't belong in our single-family neighborhood. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole. That's actually
I hate to cut you off. I hate to cut off a former colleague, Commissioner Blair, but
that's what
time's up. Got to be consistent.
I understand, Kelly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you. At this time, the applicant has opportunity for a 5-minute rebuttal.
For the record, Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. It's always good to have one of the wrestling bees in the House. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I want to go back to my PowerPoint. If we could pull that up, please, for one slide.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, sir. I do want to reemphasize that
This application comes to you with not 3 strikes, but 3 home runs, as I've heard it mentioned a few times this morning, with Planning Commission, Development Services, and the Zoning Hearing Master all strongly supporting this request. There's a lot of talk about stormwater, and here's what's great about this project is that there's no stormwater there now. Water's flowing wherever the good Lord intended it to go. With this development, as you can see, the entire north of the property is going to be dedicated stormwater because, as you all well know and have been well schooled, any new development must meet stormwater requirements. So approving this request dramatically improves stormwater and flooding in the area. But I think what's most important is that this is a well-planned and presented proposal. It meets the requirements or directions of the community plan, which clearly call for the direction of these type of uses to be in our community. It is not a commercial use. It is a residential use. The code refers to it, the Planning Commission refers to it, and is officially a residential use. This is where, again, our mothers, fathers, grandmothers, and grandfathers and grandmothers belong. With that, LaTanya, I think you had one more comment you wanted to make, and we appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Hi, just kind of I'm sorry, I just want to echo what he said. They kept using the word commercial. This is not a commercial, it's not zone commercial. This is resident usage. So, and I've not had any complaints in any neighborhoods with any of my other properties. In fact, whenever something happened, the neighbors actually come over and bring things, and we just all kind of work together with everything. So I've not had any issues prior.
And let me also add, as the as indicated in one of the staff reports, that the AM and PM peak hours are comparable to residential. And I would also add that being at the intersection of North Boulevard, that this use will provide a transition to the single families that are abutting further to the east. With that, we appreciate your attention. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission.
Jillian Massey, Planning Commission staff. The subject site's located in the residential 4 future land use category. It's within the limits of the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Community Plan, and it's in the urban service area, which, according to Objective 1.1 of the future land use section, 80% of the county's growth is to be directed. According to future land use section Objective 4.6, residential support uses are allowed within residential neighborhoods to directly serve the population. In this case, the applicant is proposing a planned development with a 14-bed Type B community residential home, and the density is within the maximum that may be considered in the residential 4 land use designation, therefore in scale with the surrounding neighborhood. With the proposal being considered a residential support use, the planned development adding architectural features that match the surrounding residential uses, the proposal is consistent with the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Community Plan. Overall, staff finds that this is a proposed use, that the proposed use is allowable in the residential 4 category. It's compatible with the existing development pattern found in the surrounding area and supports the vision of the local community plan. And therefore, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for a rezoning from RSC 6 to the planned development zoning district for the development of a 14-bed Type B community residential home to care for senior citizens. No plan development variations or waivers are requested. As you've heard, Planning Commission staff supports the rezoning request. Additionally, Development Services staff and the transportation reviewers are also in support. The property owner and operator of the proposed facility testified that she is licensed by Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration as a core trainer, and the facility is subject to stringent criteria that would not permit the conversion of this facility from senior care to a drug rehabilitation facility. She added that she operates 5 similar facilities and submitted the state and local regulations into the record at the ZHM hearing. The zoning hearing master stated that a community residential home is not a commercial land use. It is a residential support use as confirmed by the Planning Commission staff and stated in the comprehensive plan policy 4.6.1. The zoning hearing master found that the request for rezoning to PD for the development of a 14-bed Type B community residential home is compatible with the area and consistent with the code and the comprehensive plan. The zoning hearing master's recommendation was for approval.
All right, thank you. I don't see anyone in the queue, so I'll make a few comments. I'm very familiar with this area. In fact, I was born in Forest Hills. I live about 2 miles from this location. I drive it every day, drive to downtown, in fact, and that's why I know there's a bus stop right there at that corner. My feeling toward this request is consistent with the way I have felt about previous similar requests, and that is that they are not compatible in a single-family residential neighborhood, which this most certainly is. The applicant stated accurately that CRHs are not technically a commercial land use, and the applicant has done and is doing a good job of trying to make it fit. However, it operates like one. And that's why in section 2.02.02 of the Land Development Code does not permit Type B community residential homes within the RSC 6 zoning district. And that's why the applicant must request a PD, because this does not meet the code. A PD rezoning that will place a Type B CRH within our RSC 6 zone area is therefore not compatible with and does not protect the surrounding single-family residential neighborhood. The location will be inconsistent with several policies that the comprehensive plan that I'll just touch on real quick. Objective 4.4, neighborhood protection. Policy 4.41, that any density or intensity increase shall be compatible with existing proposed or planned surrounding development. Policy 3.1.3, any density increase shall be compatible with existing proposed or planned surrounding development. Objective 4.6, certain non-residential land uses shall be allowed within residential neighborhoods. However, these uses shall be located and designed in a manner to be compatible with surrounding residential development pattern. And then lastly, policy 4.6.1, residential support uses shall be of a design, intensity, and scale to serve the surrounding neighborhood or the non-residential development in which it occurs and to be compatible with the surrounding land use and zoning. So for that reason, I'm not going to support the application. I see a couple people in the queue. So Commissioner Cohen.
Thank you, Commissioner Hagan. And for the most part, I agree with everything you said, and I have some issues also just with the compatibility of something this size in a residential neighborhood that really has nothing else like this. I want to just get, though, to something else, and that is the fact that the good character and excellent business practices and stellar reputation that the applicant obviously has, and my hats are off to you for the really good work that I'm sure you do. But we really can't consider that in considering this matter, because even with the restrictions that are in place, if you make an approval like this, it could be sold 5 years down the road, and the entire philosophy around the business could change, and you could end up with a use very different than what you see presented here today. So I just wanted to make that point, because oftentimes, the fact that something is good and useful and serves a really important purpose in our society, we've seen in the past that uses can change over time, and this type of an approval will stay forever, regardless of who the owner is.
Commissioner Bowles.
I couldn't help but notice that in Mr. Pressman's presentation that he mentioned that there's another residence on Northeast Lake, and that's a half a mile away. but that has 6 people in it, and I'm not sure when that was approved or not. Well, according to, again, to his presentation, it has 6 beds. And, you know, I could see where the woman came up who lives next door on Hamner Road, talked about 2 different homes kind of maintaining that character, and I can see that maybe being an alternative. Of course, that would probably increase the cost for the people who are trying to do it as well, but I think that that's where we can, maybe that would be an alternative to think about in the future. All that being said, I was just curious why that wasn't brought up. You're a half mile away. You mentioned Mr. Pressman mentioned Walgreens and the facility that was right next door, but didn't mention the one that was a half mile away, owned by the same person who currently has that residential use already. But just, and I would actually kind of defer and give deference to those who have that area as ear. Thank you.
Commissioner Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After hearing the pros and cons of this particular project and looking at how our staff, we have the support from the Zoning, Hearing, Master Development Services, and Planning Commission, I'm going to move for approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve by Commissioner Myers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Commissioner Wostel.
Thanks. Just as an educational point, somebody in the county attorney's office is working to vet more of my previous concerns that the state's legislature specifically undid the PD protections that Commissioner Hagan and I put forward last year for Live Local. They re-invoked them and overrode us this year, and they're exploring for whether or not we can use that as grounds, as a planning purpose on denial. That's not my reasons for my vote today. It's for all of the reasons that Commissioner Hagan put forward. But I did want to note to the public that when you're looking at these and fighting these, if you see the word PD, that now entitles that to be eligible under the state's Live Local Act, which is an affordable housing, high density, that we have no say-so in. We cannot be involved in a Live Local Act applications. It is illegal for your county commissioners to be involved in that. And PDs do inject that type of density into the area against our will. So just a point of note to everyone attending today. Thank you.
Well said, Commissioner Wostel. Commissioner Cameron Cepeda, you want to make any comments?
No, it was stated earlier that the facility could not be used for any other use in the future. Is that what I heard correctly?
Yes, as long as
Adam.
Yes, ma'am. The PD requested would limit the use to a community residential home and could not be converted to any different use without a change to the zoning if this were approved.
But, I mean, for the elderly in particular is really what I should ask, like, for the elderly or for any type of
Any type of person who would want to live in a community residential home. The zoning does not limit it to elderly residents.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take back my I'm sorry, I don't want to second that then, sorry.
Okay, so she removes her second. Does anyone else want to second the motion? All right, if not, the motion fails. I'll pass the gavel to the vice chair. I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-1. Commissioner Myers voted no.
Okay, next item.
Madam Vice Chair, who was the second to that motion, please?
Commissioner Wostel.
Thank you.
My apologies.
Next item.
Next item is agenda item. Commissioner, do you want to go back to F2 or continue forward with F7?
Sure.
F2? All right. We're going to go back to item F2 then. Again, the next item is item F2, rezoning 24-0924. Again, this is a modification to allow 36 dwelling units on Dixon Road, and we continue this at opposition testimony, so we'll continue at that point.
Please come forward, sir.
We did clarify, commissioners, that the videos that were being shown were not part of the record, so it was communicated to the citizen.
Okay, and I believe
again-
one second, I believe there was 9 minutes remaining, I want to say, roughly. So you just set the clock at that. All right. Please continue,
Again,
sir.
Brent Davis, 10609 Dixon Drive. I'm not sure what happened with the submission of the evidence there. It certainly was not my intention to submit new evidence. We submitted mountains of evidence by many people, as I'm sure you've seen if you've looked at the optics website. So an oversight on my part, I certainly apologize for that. But what's happened here is these people have come in and bought this land and have run a dirt pit out of there. That's been well documented. And they were fined. Somehow the fines mysteriously went away. We were told that that was being handled downtown, whatever that means. So the fines went away, the work continued, and now they come before you and ask to build 36 homes in our very unique community. This is a one-way in, one-way out community with about 52 homeowners. Many of us have been there 30, 40, and even 50 years. Our intention has been all along to retire there. Some of us have our grandchildren there and so forth. And these people have come in and just destroyed this piece of land. And now they come before you and ask to build 36 homes, which is totally out of character with our community. Now, if you looked at the map that I presented earlier, sure, Panther Trace and Summerfield and so forth are very large, sprawling communities, but ours is not. It's a very unique community that's been there a long time, and our residents have a right to keep it that way. Now, the developer, they've quit claim deeded the property 2 or 3 times to get around these EPC fines. They have done some work there to restore the wetlands, but it's not working. We've been flooded out seriously 3 times, and not hurricane related. And that's in the last 18 months or so. So they have just run roughshod over us. They've made a mockery of the county trying to enforce the rules there. And again, we're not sure how all that happened, but nevertheless, it has happened. And now we're asking you to vote no on this proposal, to let us preserve our way of life, our community. These people are not residents there. They don't want to build a house there. They want to come in and make money as fast as they can and ride off into the sunset at our expense. Our property values will be challenged. The traffic, again, is not an issue maybe as far as you're concerned, but it certainly is for us. The drainage is a serious problem. We have water draining all over the community, flooding residents out. And there was a video that I thought was put into evidence, and I would like to play it, but I won't attempt that because I'm not sure it is in evidence now, that shows one of the residents out there with the water over both sides of the street where you can't even see where Dixon Drive starts and ends. It's seriously dangerous. And yet they want to continue right on and build these houses. So we respectfully ask you to say no, vote no on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Kathy Moore, 10603 Dixon Drive, Riverview 33579. I've lived there over 50 years, and we really do have a diverse, very unusual community that is something needed in our area where everything is just subdivisions of small lots and stuff. In our neighborhood, a person can have their business, they can bring their vehicles there. If you have an RV, you can park your RV on your property. If you have animals, you can have animals, limited amount, of course. And it's just, we have seniors, we have young, we have diversity of all types of nationalities. We're a very unique situation, and everybody knows everybody. And this definitely would disrupt the whole concept of our neighborhood. And we strongly, strongly hope that you read all the emails and stuff that were sent to you by all of our residents, your constituents who are depending on you to help us save our community, because this is something that is needed in our area where we can have a little diversity. Thank you so much.
My name is John Murdoch. I live at 10702 Dixon Drive. I've been out there almost 40 years. I'd like to begin this with a question. Does the applicants know that the land they want to build on is contaminated? KC Coastal ran an illegal dirt pit for over a year and a half without any permits or inspections. The face pond on the property was not filled in. Instead, the owner dug them out and dug another 30 feet deeper. For every load of clean fill that was hauled out, they hauled in scrape, which is the first 18, 20 inches of dirt on property where buildings are supposed to be built on. They filled in the property with dirty dirt, took the clean dirt out to build watershed in the other communities around. And the owner knew what was going on. They do not contain their water on their property. What they call a retention pond lake is on the highest part of the property. All the water drains directly off the property into the backyards of neighbors and takes up a third of their backyards and drains across my ditches too. All this was done, the property was clear cut without permits, but all this was done and code enforcement informed us that everything was being handled downtown. We had the similar occasion down at the end of our street where they built the storage center. Again, that was built without any permits, no inspections. They sold it to Cubex, and they're suing DeCobo now on that because they have to keep getting things brought up to code. What is the purpose of having code enforcement if code enforcement can't do their job? We was told on both occasions everything was being handled downtown. What does that mean? Somebody can supersede code enforcement? Who can supersede code enforcement? I had a 28-year inspector tell me that it's all politics. And this has got to stop. Code enforcement is there to protect the people. I personally watched them dump 3 construction containers into a pit they dug and buried them. I can go out there and pinpoint the direction. You can dig them up and see the crap that they put in there. Old septic pipes, blocked wood, garbage, you name it, they dumped in that property. And they should be held accountable for that. And the property is filled with contaminated soil. I wouldn't want to build a house on that, would you? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Due to the fact that we had 2 commissioners that had engagements that they had to leave, Attorney Landry, can you please advise what our options are?
Yes, at this point, due to the fact that there's 5 commissioners sitting, the applicants have the opportunity to request a continuance to the next land use meeting, and I'd ask that the applicant's representative come up and advise.
Good morning, Isabel Alper for the record. Yes, we are going to request a continuance to the next land use hearing, please.
Thank you.
We need a motion.
Members, that next meeting will be,
It's being continued, sir. We're going to request that. Just one second. Commissioner Whistle, you're recognized.
And just so you can clarify to the community, once we continue, the whole process starts back over, and they're going to get their full time to go back through a full public hearing again, correct?
That is correct.
Actually, there would not be the full time. We would pick up where we left off, basically, with the remaining time.
there's discretion, I believe the board can look at that.
Yes,
There's discretion.
There would be.
Okay. Okay. And that's at what date?
The next hearing will be November 12th at 9 a.m.
Okay. I would just tell the public that I will, I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me too. I will be making a motion at that time to give you guys back your time to speak that is being taken from you, in my opinion, when the legal, which remember, we have a legal procedure here which we have to follow. So that's why I'm making this motion to continue this to the, which, November
12th at 9 a.m.
To the November 12th land use meeting at 9 a.m. Again, that's November the 12th, 9 a.m.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen. Commissioner Bowles, you're recognized.
To the extent that you want to do that, I'm absolutely going to support that as well. I think we should just do a full reset with this, given the circumstances, but we'll waive those rules at that time. I'll support that.
Just to be clear to the public, we have no discretion at this point. We have to, applicants are allowed to ask for a continuance if there are only 5 board members sitting, and they can get it as of right. We don't have the discretion to vote no on this and continue forward, even if we were to want to. So I apologize.
That's great. With a motion and a second, any other discussion? Please record your vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on to F7, please. Mr. Green.
Next item is agenda item F6, F7, rezoning PD 25-0700. The request is for a modification to a parcel that's located in the northeast corner of US 41 and 19th Avenue. It's currently zoned CG and planned development for an RV park. The request is for a PD to allow for commercial uses. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent, and hearing officer recommended approval also. We're available for any questions.
Madam Chair, at this point, it would be appropriate to hear from the applicant whether they would like to continue.
Good morning, Alex Shaler with the law firm of Gardner Brewer Hudson, 400 North Ashley Drive. Can you all see this presentation we uploaded? Okay, perfect. I will make this presentation brief. I think this is a pretty straightforward request.
Shaler?
Yes.
I'm sorry, do you wish to proceed with 5 commissioners seated?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
There's a single-family home community located just east. This is located along Highway 41, where there is a trailing of prevalent commercial uses located along that corridor. For a little bit of background on the zoning history, this is an antiquated PD that is very specific to the current use that's on site today, which is an RV park. It's split zone, so that portion there along Highway 41 is zoned commercial general currently. What we are proposing is a PD to allow for commercial uses across the entirety of the site. I caveat that with, quote, limited commercial uses. We have a list in the conditions of approval of restricted commercial general uses. Those are some of the more intense commercial uses you see in that category. To be transparent, we're going to do some kind of retail, daycare, convenience store, et cetera. Typical commercial uses you'd see along the Highway 41 corridor. To ensure further compatibility, as I mentioned, with that neighborhood located just east, we have designated a specific portion along the eastern property line. Within 200 feet of that area, we are further restricting the commercial uses to only commercial neighborhood or CN uses to make sure that there's compatibility there. And we're also providing that 20-foot wide Type B landscape buffer as well. Development Services found this application approvable as there were no objections from the other reviewing departments. The zoning hearing master also recommended approval for this application. So that concludes my presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Is there any other proponent testimony? At this time, do we have any opponent testimony? Planning Commission staff?
Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site's located in the residential 12 future land use category. It's located within the limits of the Ruskin Community Plan, Apollo Beach Community Plan, and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. It's located in the urban service area where, according to Objective 1.1 of the future land use section, 80% of the county's growth is to be directed. The proposal meets the intent of future land use section Objective 4.4, which requires new developments to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised of mostly light commercial uses, and the proposed uses will complement the area. The proposed plan development also aligns with the Ruskin Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. There are no applicable policies in the Apollo Beach Community Plan that relate to this request. Overall, staff finds that the proposed use is an allowable use in the residential 12 future land use category and is compatible with the existing development pattern found within the area, and it also meets the intent of the associated community plans. Therefore, staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed conditions by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Zoning hearing master?
The applicant is requesting commercial general to rezoning from commercial general and plan development to a plan development zoning district for the development of limited commercial land uses with no PD variations or waivers requested. The zoning hearing master noted that the existing PD is approved for 54 RV units, 1 mobile home, and a CG zone portion that permits a wide array of commercial general land uses. The zoning hearing master noted that no testimony in opposition was provided at the ZHM hearing. The applicant has agreed to a zoning condition that limits the land uses to only those permitted in the commercial neighborhood zoning district within 200 feet of the eastern property line. The zoning hearing master found that the rezoning request to PD for the development of limited commercial land uses is compatible with the area and is also consistent with the code and the comprehensive plan. And the zoning hearing master concluded with a recommendation of approval.
Thank you. We don't see any more discussion.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to F8, and the same option applies.
Good morning, Cami Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward, and Henderson. I'm electing to proceed.
Thank you.
So the next item is agenda item F8, rezoning PD 25-0704. This is a request for a modification to a parcel that's currently zoned AR, AS1, and PD. It's 678.79 acres. The majority of the site has already permitted planned development for residential uses. This request is adding some additional property to that PD and increasing overall entitlements for a total of 1,290 dwelling units and 25,000 square feet of commercial. This was previously in a WVR2 plan category. Last year was the comp plan was amended to Res 4 and placed in the urban service area. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer recommended approval. I'm going to bring up any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cami Corbett again for the record. Staff did a good job of summarizing the request just for a graphic to see which parcels we're adding and which are already approved. The parcels in yellow are the ones that we're adding. The balance of the property has been approved before previously. It dates back to 2019. We are adding commercial uses at that intersection of Berry Grove Boulevard and US 301, and we are maintaining the 2 acres for a fire station. And we're here to answer any questions should you have any, but we have all recommendations for approval, and we respectfully request the same from you.
Thank you. Any proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony? With that, Planning Commission staff.
Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site's located in the Residential 4 Future Land Use category. It's located within the limits of the Waimama Village Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. It's also located in the urban service area where, according to Objective 1.1 of the Future Land Use section, 80% of the county's growth is to be directed. The proposed single-family use is compatible with the existing residential character and density of the surrounding area. Additionally, the proposed commercial uses within Pod A meet commercial locational criteria as outlined in Objective 4.7 in the Future Land Use section. The proposal also meets a number of goals and strategies within the Waimama Village Community Plan, as well as the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. Overall, staff finds that the proposed additional single-family homes and 25,000 square feet of commercial uses in Pod A is compatible with the existing development pattern and supports the vision of the community plans where the site is located. Based on these considerations, staff finds that the proposed plan development is consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Zoning Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for rezoning from the agricultural rural ASC1 and plan development zoning districts to PD zoning district. No variations or waivers are being requested with this plan development. The existing plan development is approved for 1,157 dwelling units and a fire station, and the AR and ASC 1 portions of the site permit agricultural and residential land uses. The zoning hearing master noted that 2 people testified in opposition during the hearing with concerns pertaining to existing traffic conditions in the area as well as flooding being worsened. In response, the applicant's representatives testified that the project would adhere to all applicable stormwater drainage regulations and roadway improvements will be completed in accordance with the results of the traffic analysis and a county capital improvement plan project. The zoning hearing master concluded that the request for rezoning to plan development for the additional acreage, including an increase in dwelling units from 1,157 to 1,290 dwelling units with 25,000 square feet of limited CG, commercial general land uses, is compatible with the area. The zoning hearing master also found that the request is consistent with the code and comprehensive plan and recommended approval.
Thank you. Any board discussion?
Move approval. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Whistle. Seeing no other discussion, please record your vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
F9, please.
Next item is agenda item F9, rezoning PD 25-0801. The request is for modification to rezone from RSC 6 to planned development for 4 attached dwelling units. It's in the Twin Lakes area on the east side of Twin Lakes Boulevard. Again, for 4 attached units. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tu. My office address is 14031 North Del Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida 33618. I'm here representing the applicant.
And Ms. Mai, are you okay proceeding with 5 commissioners?
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
am. Subject site is located at 8615 Twin Lakes Boulevard in Tampa. Total land is 0.77 acres. Current zoning is RSC 6 with future land use of Res 6. It is in the urban service area. The applicant is requesting to rezone from RSC 6 to PD for 4 townhome development. There is an existing driveway that would serve as a direct access to the project on Twin Lakes Boulevard. However, during the review process, transportation staff recommended a future project access as a driveway stub out to the north of the property. The reason for staff's recommendation for the proposed future access was due to the project site not meeting the 245 feet minimum separation between driveways for a Class 6 collector roadway. Therefore, we submitted an administrative variance for access minimum spacing on June 20th, and the county engineer found the AV request approvable on August 11th. We find that the proposed request is compatible with the surrounding area and consistent with the comp plan for the following reasons. The surrounding area is residential and higher intense residential uses to the south. Directly to the southeast of the subject site is villas at Twin Lakes, which is an 18 villas, single family attached with 2-car garage under PD 150682. Also to the north of the site, abutting the site is a multifamily residential use. Lastly, the maximum density for Res 6 land use designation is 6 dwelling units per acre. This project falls below the land use density at 5.19 dwelling units per acre. Lastly, there were several letters of support that were submitted into the record. Development Services finds the request approvable with subject to conditions. Planning Commission finds this consistent, and zoning hearing master recommends approval. We respectfully request your approval as well. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll take any proponent testimony. Any opponent testimony? Planning Commission?
Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site's located in the residential 6 future land use category. It's not within the limits of a community plan, and it is within the urban service area where, according to Objective 1.1 of the future land use section, 80% of the county's growth is to be directed. The proposed rezoning to planned development to develop 4 dwelling units is compatible with the existing residential character and density of the area, with 2-family residential abutting the site to the north and single-family residential to the south and west. Overall, staff finds that the proposed use is an allowable use within the residential 6 future land use category, and it is compatible with the existing development pattern, and therefore finds it to be consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Now zoning hearing master.
Thank you. The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for a rezoning from RSC 6 to a planned development zoning district for the development of 4 townhomes. No PD variations or waivers are being requested. The zoning hearing master noted that 6 letters of support were submitted into the record during the hearing. One person testified in opposition, but stated that they were not, they stated during their testimony during the opposition section that they were not in support or in opposition, but had concerns about the proposed stub out to the north that affects the property that the individual owned. In response, the county's transportation review section staff testified that the stub out is for future development. The applicant's representative testified that the issue will be reviewed later at the site development stage, and that she would work directly with the adjacent property owner to the north regarding access. The zoning hearing master concluded that the request for planned development for the development of 4 townhomes is compatible with the area and is also consistent with the code and the comprehensive plan. And the ZHM recommended approval.
Move approval.
Second. Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Moving on to F10, please.
Next item is item F10, rezoning PD 25-0802. This is a request to rezone 10.97 acre parcel from AS1 to PD for 33 single-family homes, and it's located on the east side of Culberth Road, south of the larger Bloomingdale area. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent, and hearing officer also recommended approval.
Thank you. Will the applicant please come forward?
Good afternoon. William Sullivan, Potomac Land Company. We request by right to continue to the next meeting. We apologize to the people that have come out, and we hope to see you next month. Thank you.
Move to continue.
I have a motion.
This will be November 12th at 9 a.m.
Yes.
I have a motion to continue on November 12th at 9 o'clock by Commissioner Whistle, a second, I believe, by Commissioner Bowles. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
The next item is agenda item F11, rezoning standard 25-1000. This is a request to rezone a 3-acre parcel that's located on the north side of West Loose Lake Fern Road, east of the Veterans Expressway and Loose Lake Fern Roads. The request to rezone from AR to RSC 6 with restrictions. The restrictions is limiting the density to 4 units per acre, consistent with the underlying Res 4 comprehensive plan category. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer also recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Good morning, Isabel Albert with HAP, North Ashley Drive, representing the applicant. This is a very simple request. It's just for an RSC 6, limiting to 4 units to the acre, and I'm here.
And Ms. Albert, are you okay with proceeding with 5 commissioners?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Any opponent testimony? Any proponent testimony? Planning Commission staff.
Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site's located in the Residential 4 Future Land Use category. It's located within the limits of the Lutz Community Plan and is in the urban service area, where according to Objective 1.1 of the Future Land Use section, 80% of the county's growth is to be directed. The proposal meets a number of goals and strategies within the Lutz Community Plan, and Planning Commission staff has found that the proposal is compatible with the existing development pattern in the area. Overall, staff finds that it's compatible and supports the vision of the Lutz Community Plan, therefore has found it to be consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to any conditions proposed by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Zoning Hearing Master.
The applicant considered the request, the ZHM considered the applicant's request for a rezoning to the RSC 6 with restrictions zoning district. The property is located in the Lutz Community Plan area within the urban service area and is 3.01 acres in size. The current zoning is AR and it's designated residential 4 by the comprehensive plan. The zoning hearing master noted that one person testified in opposition during the hearing with concerns pertaining to a lack of accountability and inappropriateness of the request. The proposed rezoning to RSC 6 with restrictions that limit the maximum density to 4 dwelling units per acre was found by the ZHM to be compatible with the development pattern and consistent with the code and the comprehensive plan. And the recommendation of the ZHM was for approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Next item is the staff reports on Live Local projects.
Yes, Commissioners, the next item, I-1, is the monthly update on the status report on Live Local projects or applications we received to proceed under those provisions. Staff's available for any questions.
Move to receive the report.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen to receive the report. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Next item is J1.
Commissioners, next item is J1, County Attorney's item regarding requesting the scheduling of 2 public hearings associated with the Land Development Code Amendment. Johanna Legman will speak to this item.
Thank you, Mr. Grady. This item was basically generated by the recent legislative session, during which Chapter 2025-182, Senate Bill 954, was codified, and that requires all local governments adopt ordinances to provide for a process in their code for the review and approval of certified recovery residences. The adoption of this ordinance per the statute must occur prior to January 1st, 2026. Certified recovery residence is a term in the statute that is more generally known as a sober home, a purely residential type of use that is under our code already permitted in residential districts. So this action is really specifically geared towards compliance with the statute. There will not be any practical effect on how these types of uses are regulated within the county. This is, again, something that is necessary to go into our code in order to meet the requirements of the statute. And what we're asking for today is just for a vote to schedule public hearings for November 13th at 6 p.m. and December 9th, 2025 at 9 a.m. for the adoption of a proposed amendment to the Land Development Code to meet the statutory requirement.
Thank you. See no one in the queue.
I'll move for approval of the item.
Second.
Again, I have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on J1.
Motion carried 5-0.
Seeing no other items, we are adjourned.